A claim made by left communists is that the state only has the purpose of upholding the dictatorship of the proletariat, and that in the lower phase of communism, which to avoid confusion we'll just refer to as socialism, the higher phase we'll refer to as communism, the state would not exist, meaning that both socialism and communism are stateless. This claim is misinformed, as evidenced by excerpts from Engels in Anti-Duhring, and by Daniel de Leon from his essay Reform or Revolution. To start with Engels, state interference in social relations becomes, in one domain after another, superfluous, and then dies out of itself. The government of persons is replaced by the administration of things, and by the conduct of processes of production. The state is not abolished, it dies out. This gives the measure of the value of the phrase, a free people's state. This highlights under socialism the purposes of the state, its development, and the prescriptive nature I mentioned in my last video. The state will not immediately be abolished in socialism, rather its functions over time must become obsolete until it dies out. The government of persons has the purpose of maintaining class rule, while the government of administration has the purpose of conducting and overseeing production and distribution. This is the idea upon which de Leon's socialist industrial unionism is founded. In sight of these manifestations of the modern state, the anarchist, the Rosewater and the dirty water variety alike, shouts, "Away with all central directing authority. See what it does. It can only do mischief. It always did mischief." But socialism is not anarchy. Socialism does not, like the chicken in the fable, just out of the shell start with the knowledge of that day. Socialism rejects the premises and the conclusions of anarchy upon the state and upon government. What socialism says is, away with the economic system that alters the beneficent functions of the central directing authority from an aid to production into a means of oppression. And it proceeds to show that, when the instruments of production shall be owned no longer by the minority, but shall be restored to the commonwealth, that when, as a result of this, no longer the minority or any portion of the people shall be in poverty and classes, class distinctions and class rules shall, as they necessarily must, have vanished. That then the central directing authority will lose all its repressive functions and is bound to reassume the functions it had in the old communities of our ancestors, become again a necessary aid and assist in production. The socialist, in the brilliant smile of Karl Marx, sees that a lone fiddler in his room needs no director. He can rap himself to order with his fiddle to his shoulder and start his dancing tune, and stop whenever he likes. But just as soon as you have an orchestra, you must also have an orchestra director, a central directing authority. If you don't, you may have a Salvation Army powwow. You may have a Louisiana Negro breakdown. You may have an Orthodox Jewish synagogue, where every man sings in whatever key he likes, but you won't have harmony. Impossible. It needs this central directing authority of the orchestra master to rap all the players to order at a given moment, point out when they shall begin, when to have these play louder, when to have those play softer, when to put in this instrument, when to silence that, to regulate the time of all and preserve the accord. The orchestra director is not an oppressor, nor is his baton an insignia of tyranny. He is not there to bully anybody. He is as necessary or important as any or all of the members of the orchestra.